What if everything you've been taught about happiness is profoundly incomplete, even misleading? We are, after all, steeped in a pervasive culture that champions relentless striving, chasing career milestones, acquiring the latest marvels, cultivating unshakable positivity, optimizing every aspect of our lives. Social media feeds relentlessly trumpet manifesting dreams, positive vibes only, an endless, almost frantic pursuit of more. We're conditioned to believe contentment lies just beyond our current grasp, waiting once we've accomplished that next goal, purchased that perfect item, or mastered that elusive skill. But what if, and prepare yourself for a truly counterintuitive idea, the key to a genuinely happier, more stable, and enduringly peaceful existence isn't found in this relentless chasing of more, but rather in the profound, liberating, and paradoxically potent art of wanting significantly less? This isn't merely a quirky philosophical musing from a bygone era. This is the radical, deeply practical proposition at the heart of Arthur Schopenhauer's enduring insights, a philosopher often unfairly dismissed as an unrepentant pessimist. Yet, we'll discover Schopenhauer, beneath his formidable reputation, offers a surprisingly practical, empowering, and remarkably prescient blueprint for navigating the complexities and overwhelming pressures of our hyper-modern lives. Though he lived in a different epoch, he resonates with uncanny clarity in our hyper-connected, often anxious, and perpetually striving present. He was a man of unvarnished, brutal honesty, unafraid to confront uncomfortable truths. While his reputation might precede him with labels like gloomy or melancholy, beneath his supposedly bleak outlook lies profound wisdom, a surprisingly resilient and effective philosophy for enduring life's inevitable challenges and cultivating a deep sense of peace amidst its struggles. In this journey through his essays, we'll meticulously peel back the layers of Schopenhauer's profound thought. Our aim isn't to wallow in despair, but to unearth a robust intellectual framework that can fundamentally change how you perceive suffering, reframe your understanding of joy, and ultimately equip you with a potent mental toolkit for a more resilient, authentic, and grounded form of happiness. We'll explore how his penetrating ideas about the will, aesthetic contemplation, compassion, and the necessity of managing our insatiable desires aren't just academic exercises. Instead, they are direct, actionable insights for your daily life. He offers not empty platitudes, but timeless observations on human nature and the world, observations that, once understood, possess the power to free you from the exhausting treadmill of unfulfilled desires that often dominates our restless age. Crucially, let me state this with absolute clarity, this isn't an invitation to embrace negativity or become a jaded cynic. Far from it. This is about deliberately shedding the immense, often crushing burden of unrealistic expectations that modern culture relentlessly imposes. It's about moving beyond the superficiality of forced optimism and towards a deeper, more grounded, and sustainable understanding of what true contentment actually entails. Schopenhauer's philosophy, when properly understood, doesn't ask you to despair. It profoundly invites you to become a powerful, clear-eyed realist. It encourages you to see the world as it truly is, with all its beauty and inherent limitations, to accept the irreducible challenges of existence, and in doing so, to discover a profound, often overlooked source of enduring tranquility and genuine, lasting satisfaction. This satisfaction, crucially, isn't dependent on volatile external circumstances or a perpetual state of high vibes. Rather, it's a path to finding a steadier, more profound, an unshakable inner peace, one that the relentless pursuit of more often tragically obscures. Welcome, fellow seekers of wisdom, to a journey into the mind of a truly singular figure, Arthur Schopenhauer. Often affectionately, or perhaps sometimes just accurately, dubbed the grumpy genius, his collection Essays of Schopenhauer is not merely a philosophical text, it's a direct, unflinching conversation with reality. If you've ever felt a nagging sense that there's more to life than the relentless pursuit of superficial happiness, or that conventional wisdom often misses the mark, then you're precisely where you need to be. Now, I understand the common perception of Schopenhauer, a philosopher synonymous with pessimism, a prophet of doom and gloom. And honestly, for a long time, I avoided him. But let me share a personal truth. I first truly connected with his work during a period of profound personal disillusionment. I was surrounded by a culture obsessed with positive vibes only, with forced optimism and the relentless pressure to manifest success. Yet, beneath it all, I keenly felt the weight of existence, the inevitable struggles, the pervasive anxiety, and the often futile striving that seemed to define human experience. I found myself feeling isolated in these observations, almost guilty for not being perpetually cheerful. Then, I picked up Schopenhauer. And to my utter astonishment, what I found wasn't a confirmation of my despair, but an extraordinary sense of relief and clarity. It was as if someone finally, brilliantly, articulated the silent, inconvenient truths I'd been wrestling with. He didn't just acknowledge suffering, he gave it a rational, profound framework. He wasn't pessimistic in a destructive sense, he was profoundly realistic. His philosophy felt like a powerful antidote to the superficiality, a validation that seeing the world for what it truly is with all its inherent challenges and beautiful absurdities was not a weakness, but a path to a deeper understanding and, paradoxically, a more robust form of peace. It was the intellectual equivalent of a deep, cleansing breath. So, let's be very clear, this isn't going to be your typical dense, academic lecture filled with impenetrable jargon. My aim here is to cut through the scholarly weeds and bring you a humanized, practical guide to Schopenhauer's most powerful, transformative ideas. Think of me as your philosophical Sherpa, helping you navigate the sometimes rugged, but ultimately illuminating, terrain of his thought. We're here to extract the timeless wisdom that can genuinely enrich your understanding of yourself, your motivations, and the complex world we inhabit, making his genius not just accessible, but truly applicable to your everyday life. Over the course of this video, we'll embark on a structured exploration. First, we'll dive deep into his key themes, grappling with the elusive nature of happiness, confronting the reality of suffering, understanding the mechanics of human will, and discovering the profound solace found in aesthetic contemplation. But simply understanding isn't enough. So, to ensure you can truly integrate these insights, I've developed a unique 7-day Schopenhauer action plan, a simple, step-by-step framework to weave his profound wisdom into your daily routines and thought processes. And finally, we'll distill everything into a clear, concise summary, leaving you with not just knowledge, but a practical toolkit for seeing the world through a more enlightened lens. Get ready to meet the grumpy genius and perhaps find a surprising ally in your own journey. Welcome to our journey into the profound world of Arthur Schopenhauer. We begin with his foundational insight, captured in his magnum opus, The World as Will and Representation. For our purposes today, we'll title this first chapter, "The world is my idea. Are you living in a dream?" It's a bold statement, isn't it? The world is my idea. At first glance, it might sound incredibly self-centered, perhaps even a bit insane. Are we saying the entire universe exists solely within your head? Not quite, but it's closer than you might think. Schopenhauer's concept, though centuries old, rings with startling modernity. He proposed that what we call reality, the trees, the sky, the faces of our loved ones, the chair you're sitting on, is not something we directly experience as it is. Instead, it's a sophisticated, incredibly convincing mental construction. Think of it this way: your brain isn't just a passive receiver. It's an active interpreter, a master editor, a brilliant illusionist. Every sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch is filtered through your unique sensory organs, then processed and organized by your intellect. Your eyes don't just see light waves, your brain constructs the red apple. Your ears don't just pick up vibrations, your brain creates the sound of a song. This isn't just semantics, it's a fundamental truth of how we engage with existence. Our reality is, in essence, a personalized representation, an internal movie projected by our own minds. To grasp this, let's use a modern analogy. Imagine a high-tech virtual reality headset. You're fully immersed in a simulated world, bustling cityscapes, serene beaches, fantastical creatures. Everything you see, hear, and interact with feels real. Yet, intellectually, you know it's data, pixels, and code. Or consider your social media feed, tailored specifically for you based on past interactions. Two people looking at Facebook simultaneously will see vastly different worlds. This personalized, filtered experience is precisely what Schopenhauer meant by representation. Our everyday world is our own biological VR simulation, a uniquely personalized social media feed of existence. This leads us to a crucial distinction: the world as it appears to us versus what Schopenhauer called the thing in itself. The world as it appears to us is our representation, the VR experience, the social media feed. It's powerful, persuasive, and practical for navigating daily life. But what lies beyond that representation? What is the thing in itself, the raw, unfiltered reality existing independently of our perception? Schopenhauer posits this thing in itself is fundamentally unknowable to us directly. We can never step outside our minds to see reality as it truly is, just as you can't experience the code behind the VR world while wearing the headset. We are forever bound by our consciousness. Now, why is this understanding so important? Recognizing our perceived reality as a mental construct, a sophisticated illusion, is the first step toward profound emotional detachment and inner freedom. If the world you experience is largely your idea, then the suffering, desires, and anxieties arising from it are significantly tied to your interpretation. Understanding that life's drama plays out on the stage of your own consciousness offers powerful perspective. You begin to see that, while you can't change the script of the thing in itself, you can change how you view and react to the representation that is your world. This isn't apathy. It's gaining mastery over your internal landscape, recognizing the dream-like quality of your waking life, and beginning the path to a deeper, more peaceful existence. In the vast tapestry of existence, there lies a fundamental, almost terrifying truth, a driving force that Schopenhauer identifies as the will. This isn't merely our conscious desire, it's something far more primal, a blind, striving, insatiable power that underpins the entirety of what is. It's the engine of the universe, ceaselessly pushing, ceaselessly demanding. Imagine it as a relentless cosmic hunger, a ceaseless yearning that animates everything. From the humblest blade of grass stubbornly pushing through concrete towards the sun, to the intricate dance of galaxies, Schopenhauer sees the will at play. It's the sap rising in a tree, the predator chasing its prey, the very current of life itself. For us humans, this will manifests not just in our basic biological drives, the hunger for food, the thirst for water, the impulse to procreate, but also in our most complex ambitions. It's the insatiable itch to achieve, to acquire, to conquer, to create, or even simply to be. In a sense, Schopenhauer centuries ago was articulating ideas that resonate profoundly with what modern psychology and biology now explore. Think of the subconscious drives. Sigmund Freud delved into the primal urges and hidden motivations that steer our behavior without our explicit awareness. Consider the relentless push of evolutionary biology, where organisms are driven by an inherent will to survive, to adapt, to propagate their genes. Even if survival is an end in itself, not a conscious choice by the individual gene. Or reflect on the endless pursuit of goals in our capitalist societies, the next promotion, the next gadget, the next experience. We achieve one goal, and almost immediately another takes its place, fueled by an inner restlessness, a feeling of incompleteness that never quite subsides. This is the will, continuously prompting us forward, an eternal treadmill of aspiration where the finish line always recedes, leaving us forever in pursuit. And here lies Schopenhauer's most profound and unsettling insight. This colossal force, this will, is utterly irrational and completely aimless. It has no ultimate purpose, no grand design it's working towards. It simply is a ceaseless, striving energy without a final destination. It's a cosmic current that just flows, indifferent to the individual swept up in its torrent. This fundamental aimlessness, this insatiable, relentless striving without an ultimate endpoint, is for Schopenhauer the ultimate source of all suffering. Because if the will is an eternal hunger, then satisfaction can only ever be momentary, a brief, precarious pause before the hunger inevitably, relentlessly returns. Pleasure, in Schopenhauer's view, isn't a positive state in itself, but merely the temporary cessation of pain, the momentary relief of a striving will, only to be immediately replaced by new desires, new struggles, and new forms of suffering. We are perpetually caught in a relentless cycle of wanting, achieving, and then wanting anew, forever chasing a fleeting sense of contentment that can never truly be permanent or fulfilling. We like to imagine ourselves as rational, autonomous beings dictating our own destinies. But Schopenhauer forces us to confront a more sobering reality. In many ways, we are merely puppets. Our conscious intellect, our reason, our sense of individuality are but fleeting manifestations, elaborate surface phenomena concealing the true master. The strings that pull us, the deep, invisible forces that dictate our desires, our fears, our motivations, these are all manipulated by the will. We are actors on a stage, believing we are writing our own script, while the true playwright remains hidden, an unseen, relentless force that pulls us into its eternal, aimless drama. This will, the will to live, is the unstoppable force, the blind, striving energy that defines existence, and understanding it is the first step towards comprehending Schopenhauer's profound, albeit pessimistic, philosophy. Welcome to Chapter 3, The Pendulum of Life, Suffering, and Boredom, one of Schopenhauer's most iconic and perhaps most challenging observations. He famously asserted that human existence swings like a pendulum to and fro between pain and boredom. This isn't merely a bleak pronouncement, it's a profound insight into our desires and discontent. Let's unpack this cycle. For Schopenhauer, life is fundamentally driven by will and incessant, blind striving manifesting as desires, wants, and needs. When we lack something, when a desire is unfulfilled, we experience a state of want, a form of suffering, or what Schopenhauer calls pain. Consider the gnawing hunger for a new opportunity, the aching longing for a relationship, or persistent financial worries. These are manifestations of this primal pain, propelling us relentlessly towards goals we believe will alleviate our suffering. But what happens when we achieve these goals? This is where the pendulum swings. Once the desired object or state is attained, the immediate suffering, the pain of want, dissipates. The hunger is satisfied, the relationship formed, the financial crisis averted. For a fleeting moment, there's relief. However, Schopenhauer argues, this relief is quickly followed by an emptiness, a void, what he terms boredom. The propelling drive vanishes, leaving us adrift, often asking, is this it? The initial euphoria fades, and we seek the next desire, the next pain to escape. Consider a common human experience. You intensely desire a new job. You dream of the challenges, the recognition, the improved salary. You apply, interview, and finally you get it. There's immense joy, relief, a sense of accomplishment. But after a few weeks or months, the novelty wears off. The job becomes routine, the initial excitement replaced by the familiar grind. You might feel a peculiar ennui, a sense that something is missing, despite having precisely what you wanted. This it. Feeling is the very essence of Schopenhauer's boredom. The pain of unemployment gone, it's succeeded by the subtle, pervasive pain of meaninglessness. This cyclical understanding directly challenges a powerful modern myth, the belief that a state of constant happiness, uninterrupted joy, or perpetual fulfillment is not only achievable but also desirable. Our culture often promotes the idea that finding the right career, perfect partner, or ultimate self-help technique can help us escape the pendulum entirely, living in continuous bliss. Schopenhauer would argue this pursuit is not only futile but also sets us up for perpetual disappointment. True happiness, in the modern sense, isn't our natural state, it's merely the temporary cessation of pain, soon replaced by boredom or new pain. So, if life is this relentless swing, is there any hope? Schopenhauer's philosophy, while often perceived as pessimistic, offers a surprising liberation through acceptance. By understanding and acknowledging this fundamental dynamic, that our existence oscillates between the discomfort of desire and the emptiness of satisfaction, we can begin to reduce its power over us. When we realize the "is this it?" feeling after achieving a goal isn't a personal failing, but inherent to the human condition, we cease to be so profoundly disappointed. We can stop chasing the illusion of permanent bliss and instead cultivate a more stable inner peace, one that arises not from the absence of suffering or boredom, but from the acceptance of their inevitable presence. This isn't resignation to misery, it's recognizing life's rhythm and learning to flow, rather than constantly fighting it. It's about finding a deeper tranquility that transcends the pendulum's immediate swings. Welcome back to our exploration of Arthur Schopenhauer's essays. In this chapter, we delve into one of his most famous and poignant analogies, one that perfectly encapsulates the inherent complexities and often painful realities of human relationships, the hedgehog's dilemma. Imagine, if you will, a cold winter's day. A group of porcupines, or hedgehogs as Schopenhauer describes them, find themselves shivering on the frozen ground. To ward off the biting cold, they instinctively decide to huddle together. They draw closer and closer, seeking the warmth of one another's bodies. But, as you can probably guess, the closer they get, the more acutely they feel the sharp prickle of each other's quills. The pain becomes unbearable, forcing them to spread out again. Yet as they move apart, the cold returns with renewed intensity, threatening to freeze them. So they try again, inching closer, enduring the momentary warmth, only to be driven apart once more by the unavoidable pain of proximity. This painful oscillation, this constant push and pull, continues until they finally discover a moderate distance from one another, a middle distance at which they can still derive sufficient warmth without continually pricking each other too severely. It's a compromise, a balance struck between two equally powerful, yet contradictory needs. This simple, vivid parable is Schopenhauer's brilliant metaphor for the fundamental dilemma of human connection. Like the hedgehogs, we are profoundly social creatures. We crave warmth, belonging, intimacy, and the profound comfort of shared experience. Loneliness is a biting cold for the human spirit, a deeply uncomfortable state that most of us instinctively seek to escape. We reach out, we form bonds, we fall in love, we cultivate friendships, we join communities, all in pursuit of that vital human warmth and reassurance. We want to be seen, understood, and accepted. But here's where our own quills come in. Just as the hedgehog's physical attributes make extreme closeness impossible without pain, so too do our individual personalities, our unique idiosyncrasies, our differing needs, our past experiences, our deeply held beliefs, and our inherent human flaws create friction when we attempt too much closeness. The more intimate a relationship, the more exposed we become, and the greater the potential for misunderstanding, conflict, disappointment, hurt feelings, or outright emotional pain. We might feel suffocated, our boundaries violated, our autonomy threatened. We might inadvertently hurt others with our own quills, our insensitive words, our unconscious actions, our unrealistic expectations, or our unmet emotional demands. We constantly swing between the primal desire for deep connection and the equally essential need for personal space, for self-preservation, for the freedom to simply be ourselves. The middle distance, then, becomes the elusive ideal, the wise navigation strategy in human relationships. It's that delicate, continuously adjusted balance where we are close enough to feel genuinely connected, to share warmth, support, and understanding, but far enough apart to preserve our individual integrity, to avoid constantly pricking each other with our respective sharp edges. It's not a fixed point, but rather a dynamic zone that requires continuous, conscious effort of adjustment, a subtle dance of approach and retreat, of understanding and compromise, of giving and taking space. It's about respecting boundaries, allowing for individual freedom and growth, and accepting that perfect, seamless merger is neither entirely possible nor truly desirable without significant loss of self. Crucially, Schopenhauer presents this not as a personal failing on our part, nor as a condemnation of human nature itself, but as an inherent, universal condition of our existence. Every single human being, regardless of their background or personal attributes, grapples with this dilemma. It is not that you are somehow uniquely bad at relationships or that others are inherently difficult. It is simply the fundamental nature of being a social yet distinct individual. Recognizing this can be profoundly liberating. It helps us approach our relationships, both intimate and casual, with greater understanding, patience, and a realistic acceptance of their inherent limitations and challenges. It shifts the burden of striving for an impossible ideal of perfect harmony, allowing us to focus instead on finding and maintaining those vital, comfortable middle distances that make human connection not only bearable but truly enriching. It is in this nuanced space that we can truly thrive, mitigating the pain while still embracing the essential warmth that human bonds provide. Welcome back to our journey through the profound and often challenging world of Arthur Schopenhauer's essays. Today, we tackle a subject that touches every human heart, yet one that Schopenhauer dissects with a chilling, almost surgical precision: love. In Chapter 5, Love's Grand Deception, a Trick of the Species, we'll deconstruct the romantic ideal from Schopenhauer's cynical, yet undeniably insightful, biological perspective. Imagine that overwhelming, all-consuming feeling of passionate love, the inexplicable pull towards another, the sense of destiny, the belief that this person completes you. Schopenhauer would argue that these intense emotions, far from being divine inspiration or profound personal connection, are actually the most powerful and cunning trick played upon us by the will to live. This colossal impersonal force, the blind striving that underpins all existence, uses love as its primary instrument to ensure the perpetuation of the species. We as individuals become mere vehicles, driven by an illusion of personal fulfillment, all for the singular, unconscious purpose of procreation. Our personal happiness in the throes of romantic love is, in essence, a bait, a captivating illusion designed to secure the next generation. But how does this will guide our choices? It's not, Schopenhauer suggests, about shared hobbies or intellectual compatibility in the way we consciously perceive. Instead, we are unconsciously drawn to partners who will neutralize our own shortcomings, genetically speaking, to produce the most balanced and robust offspring. Do you find yourself inexplicably attracted to someone whose temperament is the opposite of yours, or who possesses qualities you feel you lack? This isn't coincidence. The tall person seeks the short, the overly intellectual seeks the grounded, the melancholic seeks the jovial. The will is performing a complex genetic equation, seeking to blend traits in a way that creates a superior, or at least optimally balanced, individual for the species' future. We are not choosing based on conscious desire alone, but by a deeper, instinctual blueprint. While this perspective might initially sound bleak, it contains a profound, liberating power, especially in the face of heartbreak or rejection. If passionate love is merely the will manipulating us for its own ends, then when a relationship fails, or when our affections are unrequited, it's not a judgment on our inherent worth. It means, quite simply, that the will deemed that particular union unsuitable for its ultimate goal of optimal offspring. Your personal desire was superseded by the species' purpose. This allows for a degree of detachment, understanding that the pain of rejection isn't a flaw in your being, but a misalignment in the grand, impersonal scheme of biological perpetuation. It offers solace, transforming personal failure into an impersonal outcome. It's crucial to differentiate, however, between this biological, often selfish, eros, the love Schopenhauer primarily critiques, and a higher, more noble form of love, agape. Schopenhauer is not condemning all forms of affection. The passionate love driven by the will is a tool for perpetuation. But agape, that universal compassion, That selfless empathy for all beings stands apart. It arises not from the will to perpetuate the self or the species, but from a profound understanding of the interconnectedness of all suffering. It is a stepping stone towards transcending the will's relentless grip, a move towards true insight and liberation from the endless cycle of desire and pain. While Eros traps us, agape offers a glimpse of freedom. Schopenhauer's analysis of love forces us to look beyond the rosy veil of romance and confront the raw, biological imperative beneath. It's a challenging lens, but one that offers a unique clarity, transforming our understanding of desire, attraction, and even the sting of heartbreak. Join us next as we delve into Chapter 6, where we explore Schopenhauer's radical views on the role of art and music in human existence. Welcome back, fellow travelers on the path of Schopenhauer's wisdom. We've spent considerable time contemplating the relentless, often burdensome, nature of the will, that insatiable striving that underpins all existence, driving us from desire to desire, forever unfulfilled. It's a rather stark picture, isn't it? But Schopenhauer, ever the astute observer of the human condition, wouldn't leave us without a glimmer of hope, a temporary reprieve from this ceaseless striving. And it is here, in the realm of aesthetic contemplation, that he offers us a profound sanctuary, the world of art and music. Chapter 6, The Sanctuary of Art, a brief escape from reality, delves into this very escape. For Schopenhauer, engaging with art isn't merely a pastime or a form of entertainment, it's a transformative experience that allows us to momentarily step outside the tyranny of our individual will. When we truly immerse ourselves in a work of art, our personal desires, our anxieties, our hopes, and our fears, all those manifestations of our own striving, will fade into the background. We stop perceiving the world as something to be acted upon, to be manipulated for our own ends, and instead become what Schopenhauer calls a pure, will-less subject of knowledge. In this state, we are no longer individuals driven by self-interest, but rather a universal I, perceiving the Platonic ideas that lie behind the phenomenal world, free from the subjective distortions of our own volition. Consider, for a moment, the vast difference in experiencing a fierce storm. If you are caught outdoors, battling the wind and rain, worried about your safety, or perhaps looking out your window fretting over potential property damage, you are firmly entrenched in the realm of the will. Your perception is dominated by personal concerns, by the impulse for self-preservation, by fear. But what if you were to stand before a majestic painting of that very storm, perhaps a Turner masterpiece, or watch a documentary capturing its raw power from a safe, detached perspective? Suddenly, the storm transforms. It's no longer a threat, but an object of sublime beauty. You are awestruck by its power, its scale, its magnificent chaos. In that moment, your individual will to survive, to protect, to control is suspended. You are a will-less subject, appreciating the pure idea of the storm, its essence, its power, untainted by personal stake. This is the profound escape art offers. While all forms of art provide this temporary liberation, Schopenhauer elevates one particular art form above all others: music. He sees music as the highest art because it possesses a unique ability to bypass ideas, representations, or conceptualizations altogether. Unlike a painting that depicts a scene or a sculpture that represents a figure, music doesn't imitate the phenomena of the world or even their underlying Platonic ideas. Instead, Music directly expresses the very essence of the will itself, the raw, unmediated ebb and flow of emotions, striving, joy, sorrow, and longing. It is, in Schopenhauer's profound words, a copy of the will itself, a direct utterance of the world's inner being. When we listen to music, we are communing directly with the fundamental forces that animate existence, experiencing them in their purest, most unadulterated form, stripped of intellectual interpretation. This is why music can evoke such deep, wordless emotion, resonating with something primal within us. So, as you go about your day, I encourage you to see art not merely as entertainment or decoration, but as a profound form of secular meditation. Approach a painting, a piece of sculpture, or especially a musical composition, not with the intention to critique or simply enjoy, but with an openness to transcend. Allow yourself to become that will less subject, letting go of your personal striving, even for a few precious moments. In doing so, you will discover the unique solace and profound insight that Schopenhauer found in these fleeting, beautiful escapes from the relentless demands of reality. It is in these moments that we truly glimpse the world as it is, untainted by our own individual desires, and find a temporary, yet vital peace. Welcome back. In our journey through Schopenhauer's profound insights, we arrive at a distinction that cuts to the very heart of human potential, the difference between talent and genius. It's a concept that not only illuminates creativity, but also explains the often solitary path of true innovation. Schopenhauer, with characteristic precision, offers an unforgettable metaphor to grasp this essential truth. He states that talent is like an archer who can hit a target no one else can hit. Think of a virtuoso musician, a brilliant surgeon, or a skilled architect. These individuals possess exceptional mastery over existing methods and known problems. They execute tasks with precision, speed, or elegance far beyond the average person, excelling within an established framework. They aim for the bull's-eye everyone can see, but only they have the skill to strike consistently. But then, Schopenhauer turns our gaze to something entirely different: genius. Genius, he posits, is the archer who hits a target no one else can even see. This isn't about superior execution of a known task. It's about perceiving an entirely new task, a new truth, a new artistic possibility that exists outside current collective consciousness. The genius doesn't merely solve problems, they reveal problems, define new realities, and paint pictures of worlds that hadn't yet occurred to anyone else. For Schopenhauer, the genius accesses a higher form of knowledge. While talent operates within the realm of concepts and rational understanding, genius taps directly into the Platonic ideas, the universal forms that underlie reality. This bypasses the filter of individual will and ordinary conceptual thought. The genius perceives the world with heightened, objective clarity, seeing connections, patterns, and fundamental truths that remain veiled to others. They live, in a sense, in a different perceptual reality, one populated by targets invisible to the common eye. This unique mode of perception naturally leads to profound isolation and often immense suffering. If you're constantly seeing targets that no one else can perceive, how do you communicate your vision? How do you justify your path? The genius is inherently out of sync with their contemporaries. Their ideas might seem strange, impractical, or even nonsensical, simply because the framework to understand them hasn't yet been built. This divergence in reality often results in loneliness, misunderstanding, and a deep sense of alienation. History is replete with examples. Vincent van Gogh, whose vibrant canvases were dismissed during his lifetime, was hitting targets of emotional intensity and revolutionary brushwork the art world couldn't yet see. Galileo Galilei faced persecution for proclaiming a heliocentric universe, a truth so radical it defied established perceptions. Herman Melville's Moby Dick, now a masterpiece, was initially a critical and commercial failure, its profound allegories lost on first readers. Even Schopenhauer himself experienced decades of obscurity, his philosophical insights largely unacknowledged until later in life. These figures, whether in art, science, or philosophy, illuminate Schopenhauer's point perfectly. They weren't just better at what others were doing, they were doing something fundamentally different, seeing something fundamentally new. Their genius lay not in hitting a target with extraordinary skill, but in revealing a target's existence to a world that was blind to it. It's a distinction reminding us that true progress often begins with a solitary vision, a target seen by one before it can ever be acknowledged, understood, and finally, appreciated by all. Welcome back as we delve deeper into Schopenhauer's profound insights. Up to now, we've explored the world as will and representation and confronted the omnipresence of suffering. But Schopenhauer doesn't leave us in despair. He offers a profound path towards amelioration, rooted in what he calls mitleid compassion. For him, this isn't merely a fleeting emotion, but the very foundation of all true morality, a practical way to alleviate the suffering that defines existence. To grasp this radical idea, we must first revisit Schopenhauer's metaphysics, specifically his challenge to our everyday perception of self. We instinctively feel ourselves to be separate, distinct individuals, a unique I inhabiting its own body, mind, and experiences. Yet, Schopenhauer argues that this sense of rigid individuality, this sharp distinction between me and you, is ultimately an illusion. It's a product of the principium individuationis, the principle of individuation, which operates within the world of phenomena, the world we perceive through our senses and intellect. Behind this veil of appearance, Schopenhauer posits that we are all, at our core, manifestations of one singular, undifferentiated will. Imagine countless ripples on a vast, dark ocean. Each ripple appears distinct, yet all are fundamentally expressions of the same body of water. So too are we, each a unique expression of the same underlying, striving, blind cosmic will. This profound recognition of shared essence is beautifully encapsulated in an ancient Hindu maxim that Schopenhauer greatly admired: "Tat tvam asi, thou art that." This isn't just a poetic statement, it's a profound metaphysical truth. When you look into the eyes of another, Schopenhauer urges you to recognize not a stranger, but yourself. The suffering you witness, the joy you perceive, the very existence of the other, is fundamentally connected to your own being, because at the deepest level, you are both manifestations of that one primordial will. From this astonishing realization springs Schopenhauer's unique ethical system. True ethical action, he asserts, does not originate from external rules, divine commandments, or even abstract duties like those proposed by Kant. Such frameworks, while perhaps useful for social order, are ultimately based on egoistic motives, whether fear of punishment or hope for reward, or merely a logical adherence to a principle. For Schopenhauer, genuine morality arises from a much deeper, more immediate source, this profound feeling of shared identity. It's an intuitive, undeniable understanding that the distinction between the self and the other is not absolute, but superficial. It's not about what you should do, but about what you feel you must do, driven by an inherent connection. And this brings us to the ultimate power of compassion. If the suffering you observe in another is, in a profound and metaphysical sense, your own suffering, because you are both expressions of the same struggling, will then alleviating their pain is, simultaneously, alleviating your own. When you act out of genuine mitleid, you are not merely being altruistic, you are participating in a fundamental truth of existence. You are, in effect, helping the universal will to momentarily quiet its ceaseless striving to find a fleeting respite from its internal conflict. Compassion thus becomes a practical, active path not just towards a more moral life, but towards a profound recognition of unity, offering a glimpse beyond the illusion of separateness and towards a deeper, shared reality, providing the most meaningful way to navigate and even transcend the suffering inherent in the world. Welcome back to our journey through the profound and often provocative world of Arthur Schopenhauer. Today, in Chapter 9, we delve into a topic intensely relevant to anyone who picks up a book, the art, or perhaps the peril of reading. Schopenhauer, ever the independent mind, doesn't just offer tips. He delivers a biting critique of how most people approach the written word, urging us with characteristic bluntness not to let others think for us. His primary directive is stark, yet undeniably practical: read the masters, not the latest bestsellers. This isn't snobbery, but intellectual economy. Schopenhauer believed that life is too short and our mental energies too precious to waste them on the ephemeral chatter and often mediocre thoughts found in contemporary literature. He championed quality over quantity, urging us to seek out the enduring wisdom of thinkers whose ideas have not only withstood the test of time, but have shaped the very course of human thought. Why, he implicitly asks, consume shallow imitations or fleeting fads when the profound originals, the true wellsprings of thought, are readily available? To read widely but superficially, to skim countless lesser works, is to spread your mental butter too thin, diluting its impact. Instead, he advises, dive deep into a select few great minds. But Schopenhauer's counsel goes further, extending a grave and particularly pointed warning: reading, for many, becomes a mere substitute for genuine thinking. We passively fill our heads with the thoughts, opinions, and narratives of others, often without truly engaging our own critical intellect. It's a form of intellectual consumption, bypassing internal processing. This isn't true learning, it's intellectual mimicry, where our own capacity for original thought atrophies from disuse. We risk becoming mere echoing chambers for borrowed ideas, rather than generators of unique insight. He employs a vivid and unforgettable analogy to drive this point home: reading without reflection is precisely like eating without digesting. You might gorge yourself on the finest meals, but if your digestive system doesn't process the nutrients, you gain nothing but a full, uncomfortable stomach. The food passes through you, leaving no benefit. Similarly, you can devour countless books, absorb endless information, but if you don't chew on it, ponder it, actively integrate it into your own understanding, it remains undigested intellectual fodder. The mind becomes bloated with facts, not strengthened by wisdom. So, how do we avoid this intellectual indigestion and cultivate the independent mind Schopenhauer so highly prized? He implicitly encourages a deliberate, almost meditative approach to reading. He suggests we pause. After encountering a particularly powerful passage, a profound insight that resonates or challenges your views, put the book down. Close your eyes or gaze thoughtfully out the window. Let the idea truly marinate. Turn it over in your mind. Ask yourself, what does this truly mean for me? How does it connect to my own experiences, my own beliefs? Does it alter my perspective? This act of deliberate reflection, of wrestling with an idea until it becomes truly yours, is where the real, transformative value of reading lies. It's how borrowed thoughts eventually blossom into independent understanding. Don't just read to accumulate facts or merely for entertainment. Read to ignite your own thinking, to sharpen your own mind, to forge and refine your own independent judgment. Let Schopenhauer's words be a call to intellectual arms. Read wisely, reflect deeply, and above all, never, ever let others think for you. Your mind is a precious garden. Tend it with diligent care. Cultivate your own unique blossoms of thought, unburdened by unexamined opinion. We arrive now at Chapter 10, Pride and Vanity, the Prison of Others' Opinions, a section where Schopenhauer truly brandishes his sharpest critical sword against one of humanity's most pervasive follies. Here, he dissects our relentless, often unconscious, pursuit of external validation, fame, and, frankly, what other people think of us. It's a critique that, despite its 19th century origins, feels astonishingly current, perhaps even more so now than when it was written. Schopenhauer establishes a fundamental and crucial distinction, one that forms the bedrock of his argument for a more fulfilled existence. He meticulously separates what a man is from what a man has for others. What a man is encompasses his true, internal worth, his character, his intellect, his health, his moral virtues, his personal development. These are the intrinsic qualities that directly contribute to his genuine happiness and contentment. They are self-contained and within his direct control. In stark contrast, what a man has for others refers to his reputation, his rank, his honor, his fame, all those fleeting accolades and judgments that exist solely in the minds of others. Schopenhauer dismisses these external validations as mere reflections, phantoms dancing on the surface of public opinion. He argues that to base one's happiness on such transient, arbitrary, and often ill-informed perceptions is nothing short of a profound error, a psychological self-enslavement. These external markers don't add an iota to one's intrinsic worth. They are, at best, a superficial ornament, and at worst, a constant source of anxiety. This brings us to his uncompromising view on the pursuit of fame, a quest he unequivocally labels a fool's errand. To seek fame, honor, or popular acclaim is to willingly surrender the reins of your inner peace to the capricious whims of the multitude. Your emotional state becomes a hostage to the fickle praise or scorn of strangers. Schopenhauer sees this as an act of profound self-betrayal, where the individual prioritizes the applause of the crowd over the calm assurance of their own conscience. True wisdom, he insists, dictates that a person should find their gratification in their own judgment and character, not in the fluctuating applause of others. The irony, he often points out, is that many truly great individuals, the ones who genuinely contribute to human knowledge or art, are rarely celebrated in their own time. Their true worth is recognized only when the superficial opinions of their contemporaries have faded, proving just how unreliable contemporary fame is as a measure of merit. Now, fast forward from Schopenhauer's gaslit study to our brightly lit, perpetually connected 21st century. If Schopenhauer were alive today, observing the relentless churn of social media, one can only imagine the scornful yet insightful commentary he would unleash. His 19th century critique of reputation and fame finds its most potent, most pervasive, and perhaps most tragic expression in our modern anxieties. The endless pursuit of likes, shares, followers, and viral status is nothing less than the digital manifestation of living in the prison of others' opinions. We curate idealized versions of ourselves, constantly performing for an unseen audience, our self-worth often tethered to the number of digital hearts or thumbs up we receive. The pressure to appear successful, happy, or on trend is immense, fueling comparison envy and a profound sense of inadequacy. Schopenhauer would see this as the ultimate extension of making one's happiness dependent on the fleeting, often superficial judgments of others. Social media, in this light, becomes a vast, interconnected echo chamber where external validation is the dominant currency, pushing us further away from the solidity of internal worth. It's a performative existence, exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling, precisely because it neglects the core self in favor of a projected image. So, what is Schopenhauer's antidote to this pervasive folly, both ancient and modern? It is a powerful, unwavering advocacy for cultivating inner character and self-respect. The only stable, enduring foundation for contentment, he argues, lies within. It means turning inward, focusing on the development of our virtues, our intellect, our health, and our moral compass. It's about building a robust internal citadel, impervious to the winds of public opinion. True freedom, according to Schopenhauer, comes from shedding the crushing burden of external expectations and the desperate chase for recognition. It means valuing your own judgment, your own conscience, and your own authentic being above the clamor and fleeting judgments of the crowd. When you derive your happiness from what you are, from your intrinsic qualities and your self-mastery, you become impervious to the slings and arrows of fortune and opinion. You achieve a profound self-reliance, a mental fortitude that no amount of public praise or condemnation can shake. In essence, Schopenhauer's message in Pride and Vanity is a timeless call to liberation, to reclaim your happiness from the fickle hands of others and anchor it firmly within the unshakable ground of your own character. It's a challenging but ultimately freeing perspective, urging us to escape the prison of others' opinions and find true sovereignty within ourselves. Welcome back to our exploration of Arthur Schopenhauer's profound insights. In this chapter, we delve into a particularly poignant and perhaps surprisingly comforting aspect of his philosophy, the ages of life, youth's poetry, old age's prose. Schopenhauer, ever the realist, offers us a perspective on the different stages of human existence that challenges our conventional fears and anxieties about aging, presenting a nuanced view of their respective psychological outlooks. He begins by characterizing youth as a period of intoxicating poetry. For the young, life stretches out before them as an endless, boundless future. The horizon appears infinite, filled with unexplored possibilities and grand ambitions. This is a time dominated by intense longing, a yearning for love, for adventure, for success, for an idealized future that exists more in imagination than reality. The youthful mind is brimming with vivid, often dramatic expectations, convinced that the world holds endless marvels awaiting discovery. But this very boundlessness, this fervent idealism, often leads to profound disappointment. The harsh realities of life, the inevitable setbacks, and the gap between soaring expectation and often mundane experience can be incredibly painful. The will to live in youth is at its most potent, propelling individuals forward with immense energy and desire, but also subjecting them to an equally immense capacity for suffering when those desires are frustrated. It is beautiful, passionate, full of vibrant emotion, true poetry in all its exhilarating, yet often heart-wrenching glory. As life progresses, Schopenhauer argues, we transition into old age's prose. The endless future of youth gradually gives way to a finite, ever-growing past. The horizon of life now lies predominantly behind us, a landscape of memories and experiences. This shift brings with it a crucial development knowledge. Old age is a period of accumulated wisdom, born not just from success, but from disillusionment, from understanding the limitations of the world and the futility of many youthful pursuits. More importantly, Schopenhauer posits that in old age, the mighty will to live begins to quiet down. Its incessant demands for satisfaction, its relentless urging towards new desires and achievements, slowly recede. This reduction in desires is, for Schopenhauer, the key to a potentially more peaceful existence. With fewer intense longings and less ardent striving, the primary source of human suffering, unfulfilled desire, diminishes significantly. The feverish urgency of youth dissipates, replaced by a more contemplative, perhaps even serene acceptance. Old age, therefore, can be more tranquil than youth, not because it is devoid of challenges, but because the internal engine of ceaseless wanting has finally begun to slow. The dramatic, often painful, verses of youthful poetry give way to the calmer, more factual, and ultimately more truthful narrative of prose. This is a clear, unembellished account of life, understood through the lens of experience, free from the often blinding idealizations of earlier years. In an era deeply fixated on youth and beauty, where aging is often presented as a terrifying decline into irrelevance and physical decay, Schopenhauer offers a profoundly comforting counter-narrative. While he never sugarcoats the physical challenges that accompany advancing years, he illuminates a psychological and spiritual potential for growth and inner peace. He suggests that old age is not merely a waiting room for the inevitable, but a distinct stage of life with its own unique advantages, a reduction in suffering due to the calming of the will to live, a clarity of perspective, and an accumulated wisdom that frees one from many of the anxieties that plague the young. It's a powerful invitation to view aging not solely as a loss, but as a journey towards a different and potentially more profound form of contentment. Schopenhauer invites us to embrace the prose of old age, recognizing its unique beauty and the quiet wisdom it can impart. Welcome back to our journey through the profound insights of Arthur Schopenhauer. In this 12th chapter, we confront perhaps the most universal of human fears, death. Schopenhauer, ever the iconoclast, challenges our conventional terror, presenting a philosophy that reframes death not as an evil, but as a release, a natural and even welcome conclusion to individual existence. Our fear of death stems largely from attachment to our individual consciousness, our self. We dread the cessation of our personal story. But Schopenhauer asks us to consider a simple, potent parallel, the state of non-existence before our birth. Think about the billions of years before you came into being. Did you suffer? Did you regret that immense span? Of course not. You simply were not. We feel no terror concerning that prior non-existence. Schopenhauer argues the state of non-existence after death is identical. It is merely the symmetrical inverse of the non-existence that preceded our arrival. If we do not fear the endless past before our birth, why fear the endless future after our death? The fear in this light appears illogical, born purely of present attachment, while our individual phenomenon, this particular manifestation of consciousness and body undeniably ends. Schopenhauer assures us that the underlying will or life force continues. Our individual existence is but a temporary objectification of this eternal, striving will. Imagine a river where countless individual waves rise, crest, then dissolve. Each wave has its unique form, its moment, but its dissolution doesn't end the river. Similarly, our individual life is a wave upon the ocean of the will. We are an expression, a temporary manifestation of this primal drive to exist. When the individual wave breaks, the underlying will persists, ever present, ready to manifest in new forms. This is not personal immortality, but it is an affirmation of the indestructibility of the fundamental life principle itself. The essence animating us is eternal, even if its particular outward form is not. Furthermore, Schopenhauer frames death as a welcome release from the constant striving and suffering inherent in individual existence. Recall his core argument that life, by its very nature, is a continuous cycle of want, desire, and dissatisfaction. We are perpetually driven by the will, pursuing goals that, once achieved, only lead to new desires, new struggles, and ultimately, new suffering. True contentment is elusive and fleeting. From this perspective, death offers the ultimate liberation. It is the cessation of this relentless striving, the final peace from the insatiable demands of the will manifesting through our individual ego. It is not an evil, it is the ultimate quietus, the longed-for tranquility after a tumultuous battle. Death becomes the ultimate escape, a benevolent force freeing us from the burden of an existence fundamentally characterized by pain and unfulfilled longing. Finally, Schopenhauer offers us a relatable analogy: sleep, which he famously calls the brother of death. Every night we willingly, even eagerly, embrace sleep. We surrender our conscious awareness, our individual ego, for a period of temporary non-existence. We look forward to this respite, this temporary dissolution, because it offers relief from the day's anxieties and the relentless demands of conscious life. In sleep, we let go. We find peace. If we embrace this temporary, nightly cessation of our individual consciousness with such eagerness, why then dread its ultimate and permanent counterpart? Sleep is a gentle rehearsal, a brief dip into non-being, showing us that release from individual consciousness can be a source of profound peace, not terror. It is a foretaste of the grander liberation that death provides. Schopenhauer's perspective on death, while challenging to our ingrained fears, offers a profound revaluation. It invites us to see death not as an end to be feared, but as a natural, even desirable, transition. It is a return to the infinite from whence we came, a release from the illusion of individual suffering, and a testament to the eternal persistence of the will. Through his lens, death ceases to be the great antagonist and emerges instead as a final, benevolent act of liberation. Now let's translate Schopenhauer's profound insights into a tangible, week-long journey for self-awareness. This isn't about descending into pessimism, it's about seeing the world, and your place in it, with clearer eyes. Welcome to the Schopenhauer Challenge, a 7-day action plan. Each day offers a simple yet powerful exercise, inviting you to engage directly with core philosophical concepts and let them resonate deeply within your own life. For day 1 and day 2, your task is to observe the will. Keep a desire journal. Simply note moments of craving, frustration, or boredom. When an unnecessary urge for a snack, a flash of irritation at traffic, or that gnawing sense of nothing to do arises, just jot it down. The crucial rule: observe without judgment. Don't analyze, don't criticize yourself. Just become a neutral witness to these internal impulses. This 2-day immersion helps you recognize the relentless, often irrational striving that drives much of our waking life. Just as Schopenhauer described, you're identifying the will's subtle manifestations as a fundamental force operating within you, not a personal failing. On day 3, seek an aesthetic escape. Find 30 minutes to spend with a single piece of art or music. No distractions. Turn off your phone, close other tab. Don't analyze its meaning or critique its technique, simply observe. Allow yourself to be immersed in its beauty, form, or emotion. Notice how your mind quiets, how the usual stream of wants and worries momentarily recedes. For Schopenhauer, true aesthetic experience lifts us from the will's demands, offering a temporary reprieve, a taste of liberation where you become a pure, will-less subject of knowledge. Days 4 and 5 are dedicated to the practice of compassion. Perform a small, anonymous act of kindness. This could be a positive note for a colleague, paying for someone's coffee, or genuinely holding a door for a stranger. Anonymity is vital, ensuring your act isn't driven by a desire for recognition or ego gratification. Afterwards, take some time to reflect on the feeling of shared humanity. Schopenhauer believed compassion arises from an intuitive recognition that others' suffering is, in essence, our own. By alleviating another's pain, you momentarily break down separateness, connecting with that deeper, universal bond. Notice the warmth, the quiet satisfaction, the diminished focus on your own desires. For day 6, embrace silence. Schedule 1 hour of no input. This means no phone, no television, no books, no podcasts, no music, no conversations. Just be with your thoughts. You might sit quietly in a room, go for a silent walk in nature, or simply lay down. The objective isn't to meditate or empty your mind, but to simply observe what arises: a torrent of thoughts, memories, plans, worries, and desires. This is the inner landscape of your will, revealed without the constant distractions we usually employ to keep it at bay. It can be uncomfortable, even confronting, but it's an invaluable exercise in self-awareness, allowing you to feel the raw presence of your internal striving. Finally, on day 7, challenge vanity. Identify one thing you do purely for others' approval. This could be maintaining a certain social media persona, wearing specific clothes you don't truly love, or adhering to opinions you don't genuinely hold. Once identified, your challenge is to simply consider letting it go. This doesn't mean immediate abandonment, but rather engage in a deep, honest reflection. What would happen if I stopped doing this? What fear or insecurity drives this action? Schopenhauer argued vanity is a major source of human suffering, sacrificing inner peace for fleeting external validation. By consciously identifying and questioning these acts, you begin to reclaim your authentic self and diminish the power others hold over your emotional well-being. This final step is a powerful invitation to greater internal freedom. Completing this 7-day challenge offers not just a glimpse, but a lived experience of Schopenhauer's philosophy. It's an opportunity to transform abstract ideas into concrete self-understanding, empowering you to navigate life with greater insight and, perhaps, a deeper sense of peace. Embrace the challenge and allow these exercises to open new pathways in your mind. As our exploration of Schopenhauer's profound insights concludes, let's distill his philosophy into 3 core truths. These pillars of understanding can reshape our perception of existence and guide us toward a more meaningful life, offering both diagnosis and a practical path forward. Our first truth, and perhaps the most challenging, is the problem life is governed by a restless, blind will, making dissatisfaction and suffering the default state of existence. Schopenhauer reveals this fundamental driver beneath all phenomena as a cosmic, unceasing force. This will is not rational. It has no ultimate goal beyond its own endless striving, manifesting in us as insatiable desire. A perpetual yearning that, once satisfied, merely gives way to another. The moment you achieve a goal, a new ambition rises. Pleasure is fleeting, the hunger remains constant. We are condemned to a cycle of wanting, achieving, brief relief, then wanting anew. Happiness isn't sustained, but the brief cessation of suffering, a temporary lull. This isn't pessimism, but an honest assessment of the human condition, acknowledging the inherent unease underlying our experience. It explains why many feel perpetually dissatisfied, even amidst plenty, forever chasing a receding horizon. This internal engine of striving fuels our anxieties, competitions, struggles, and suffering. Understanding this foundational truth is the first step toward mastery. Moving beyond this stark reality, our second truth offers a vital counterpoint, a necessary reprieve, the escape we find temporary freedom from the will's tyranny through moments of pure aesthetic contemplation and genuine compassion. If the will is a relentless engine of desire, freedom comes from stepping outside its demands. Schopenhauer points to two powerful avenues. First, aesthetic contemplation, profound absorption in art, music, or nature. When truly lost in a masterpiece, captivated by a painting, or awestruck by a sunset, your individual will, with its desires and anxieties, momentarily dissolves. You become a pure, disinterested perceiver, contemplating universal forms. In these moments, the I fades, and with it, the suffering born of individual striving. It's a profound liberation, a glimpse into a state free from want. The second avenue is genuine compassion. When we truly empathize with another's suffering, feeling their pain as our own, we transcend individual ego. We recognize the shared suffering of all beings, the universal will expressing itself. This act of selfless understanding softens the boundaries of our individual will, connecting us to a larger whole and providing a fleeting, powerful escape from self-centered desire. Both art and compassion are vital oases in the desert of striving, offering moments of profound peace and connection, reminding us of a realm beyond personal will's incessant demands. Finally, armed with these insights, our third truth offers a practical guide for greater tranquility. The practice lasting contentment comes from managing our desires, cultivating a rich inner life, and detaching our happiness from external validation. While aesthetic contemplation and compassion offer temporary escapes, Schopenhauer emphasizes a sustained approach to reducing the will's hold through conscious effort. First, managing desires means acknowledging their insatiable nature and actively curbing them. True contentment isn't endless acquisition, but moderation, finding peace in less. Secondly, cultivating a rich inner life is paramount. Since the external world manifests the restless will, solace must come from within. This means intellectual pursuits, developing one's mind, finding joy in study, reflection, and creative thought. An active, well-furnished mind is a refuge, a self-sufficient source of satisfaction independent of the external world's caprice. Lastly, and crucially, detach happiness from external validation. Our worth and joy shouldn't be contingent on others' opinions, status, or possessions. These are will's traps, promises that disappoint. True happiness for Schopenhauer lies in an internal state of quietude, a gentle resignation, and appreciation for the peace from reduced wanting. It is liberation from the chase, embracing inner tranquility as the ultimate good. These three truths form a potent framework: understanding suffering's source, finding temporary respite through elevated experience and connection, and building lasting contentment via self-management and internal cultivation. Schopenhauer challenges us not to defeat the will entirely, an impossible task, but to skillfully navigate its currents, reduce its power, and achieve a measure of peace in a world perpetually in motion. And so, our exploration into the profound, often challenging, yet undeniably insightful world of Arthur Schopenhauer's essays draws to a close. We've peered into the intricate workings of the will, confronted the pervasive nature of suffering, and perhaps glimpsed the raw, unvarnished truth of human existence as Schopenhauer saw it. His philosophy serves as a potent mirror, reflecting fundamental truths of our being, truths we often overlook or suppress. This isn't philosophy designed to make you feel good, it's designed to make you think, to make you see the depths of self and the universal human condition. But the journey doesn't end here. Schopenhauer's insights are not mere subjects for passive contemplation. They are powerful catalysts for personal introspection, essential tools for deciphering the forces that shape our desires and actions. Now, I'm genuinely eager to hear your voice. Which of Schopenhauer's ideas challenges you the most, and why? Was it the insatiable will, the futility of pursuit, or his stark view of love? Share your thoughts, questions, or epiphanies in the comments below. Let's foster a vibrant community where these complex ideas can be openly discussed and better understood. Your perspective adds immeasurable value. If this deep dive into Schopenhauer resonated with you, if it ignited new lines of inquiry or offered a fresh lens, please consider giving this video a like. Your likes are a vital signal, helping us reach a wider audience of curious minds. This allows us to continue bringing you more humanized philosophy made accessible, engaging, and relevant to modern life. And if you're keen to continue this journey of intellectual discovery, to delve deeper into the minds and ideas that have shaped our world, then I warmly invite you to subscribe to the channel right now. By subscribing, you ensure you won't miss any future explorations into philosophy, psychology, and the human experience. Join our growing community. To truly immerse yourself in the brilliance of Schopenhauer's thought, I highly recommend picking up your very own copy of Essays of Schopenhauer. Reading his original words, allowing his unique voice to resonate directly with you, offers an unparalleled and transformative intellectual experience. You'll find convenient links in the video description below. Alternatively, if your intellectual appetite is whetted and you're eager for another deep dive right now, explore one of our other carefully curated videos. You'll find them linked conveniently on screen or in the description. Perhaps an exploration of Friedrich Nietzsche's compelling response to Schopenhauer, or a video delving into the practical applications of Stoicism. There's always more to learn, more to question, and an endless array of perspectives to understand. Remember, the path to genuine wisdom and self-knowledge is rarely comfortable. It often requires confronting uncomfortable truths and dismantling long-held assumptions. But despite its demands, this journey is ultimately the most rewarding one you can undertake. For it is precisely by understanding the nature of your cage, by recognizing the constraints and illusions that bind you, that you can finally truly find the key.